Well, our next guest is Radwan Chowdhury.
Mm-hmm.
He is a philanthropist and an activist, an author, and a bona fide visionary.
That's right. And I met him at actually various events in Tallahassee and here. And we were both delegates for President Obama. I met him in Charlotte again when I went up there. And I'm one of those people, Ellen, that I don't take your business card unless I feel like I can use the information later on. And I kept his information. And I thought this would be a good time of the year with elections coming up in just a few weeks, November 4th, to have him call in and talk about what his group is doing.
And his organization speaks to us. It's exactly what we always talk about. They work to improve the quality education and the lives of underprivileged children.
Yeah.
Which you've always said, we should not let things stand in the way, especially somebody's zip code, stand in the way of getting a good education.
I like his mission statement.
Yes.
It says that their mission statement is to implement perpetual solutions and end the cycle of poverty and hunger and social justice through education. And so they donate a lot. And so I'm going to say welcome to Mr. Radwan Chowdhury, who's a fellow Indian fellow like myself. Hello and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Seeta. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're welcome, and we're just grateful that you were able to take the time to call in today. So we were just trying to say that I was just telling Ellen and my friend Aaron and Michelle that we've seen each other at various events, and naturally, you look like me, so I always gravitate towards you to say, hello, where are you from? And we started talking, and we found out we have a lot of things in common. And you're with a group, so I wanted you to tell us a little bit about the foundation that you're working with.
Yes, back in 1995, when I first came to this country and got my education actually from where you are, pretty close to, from Boca Raton, Florida Atlantic University. Then I went back and saw the world from a different perspective. So I thought, well, maybe perhaps I could contribute a little bit based on my own capacity and capability. So I created the UDiON Foundation and I started helping children in Bangladesh. Then I realized, well, there is so much that this country gave me and I should contribute here locally as well. So in 2010, we expanded our program here in the state of Florida, and we work with underprivileged children in many different capacities. Just to highlight few things that we do, one of the group we work with is children, they are substance users. And the children, they are involved with the gang activity. So we mentor them, we bring them to our office, set them up with the corporate executives to mentor them, just show them the different parts of the world or different parts of their side. Those children are just not correctly guided or cared. So they are going in the wrong directions. As a society, each of us has a responsibility to make sure that our children get the right education, our children get the right mentorship, and our responsibility for that we pave the path so they can walk on.
That's right. So what is
children is our future.
So what is the mission then of your organization? I know you're helping here in the United States and you're doing some things overseas, and we've read off your mission statement. But what is the mission of the UDiON? How do you call it the NAAPACFL or which one?
Well, UDiON Foundation is a non-profit organization,
right?
And the NAAPC, which is National Asian American PAC, which is Political Action Committee.
So you're in two. Yes,
right. Two separate missions. Yes, the UDiON Foundation mission is just exactly what you said. Before I came on.
Yes.
To end the cycle of poverty. But how do you do that? It's not. You just can't hand up somebody a few dollars. Say, okay, go buy. A bag of rice or something. But you want to do that through the education. I think that's the only way. A lot of things that you've seen in the world going on right now to get rid of, injustice and the poverty. I think everything boils down to an education.
Right. And then you also have a political wing, and through that you're also using your political will to help with the situation in Bangladesh as well, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Mm-hmm.
When we met, I think the first time I think second or third time we met in Charlotte at the DNC National Convention, and I think we briefly spoke about it. Asian community at large are still way far behind in mainstream politics.
Yes.
And we need to, educate our fellow Asians. And I'll give you an example. I was born and raised in Bangladesh. You don't have a political voice over there. If you are anti-government, you can't really speak out rightfully because they use their power to manipulate things. But people who came in, especially on a first generation, they have the, still that mindset of, I don't want to get involved in politics.
Which is so terrible, because you and I both know that living in the United States and getting the opportunity to immigrate here is such an honor that we should get involved politically.
Absolutely, no question about it. We should get involved. That's the only way to hear the voice. So the core mission of National Asian American PAC is to bring all Asian community from the different countries together under one umbrella to create a block vote.
Yes.
And that's the only way you can get things done. When you have a power of block vote, you can go to the candidate and say, okay, this is the needs of our community, and this is what we want you to do when you get to the office, when you get elected.
Right.
And we are in return going to deliver you the block vote. We have X amount of people. For example, in the state of Florida right now is 600,000+ Asian Americans, as you know. And the Asian Americans right now in the entire United States is higher PhD, higher educated, and higher GDP than any other ethnicity. By 64%, I was looking at the statistic yesterday.
I think there's something about the Asian community that by the time the children come out of their mother's womb and they're born, they say either you're going to become a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, and they're just pounded right into the brains, because you're absolutely correct. That's how it is in my family and so many Asian Americans that I know. The expectations for the children are extremely high.
True. And if you look at it, in when first Senator Obama then, now the President Obama ran, the Asian American in the highest office, administration or judicial system, was 0.27%. 0.27%, and those are the numbers that came out of the Equal Employment Opportunity Department. And then before the 2012 election, that number was 4.16%.
Yes.
And these are the statistics that are coming out of, the Equal Employment Opportunity. So why do we want to do that? Create a block vote. We want to create a block vote to exactly achieve those type of things. There are qualified people. If your statistics show 64% of the Asian American are in PhD holder over any other ethnicity, then why those PhD holders are not in appropriate places to have those, useful? So I think the President Obama took the appropriate steps and appointed so many people that, as you've seen, that number increased dramatically in over 6 years.
So for our listening audience here on AM 1300 WMEL and 1300WMEL.com, can you tell us if the NAAPACFL, are you guys endorsing any candidates right now?
Yes, we actually had a candidate debate 2 weeks ago to talk about the what are the things that the Asian community needs and which candidate will best support. We also send invitations to the Governor Scott as well as former Governor Charlie Crist to come to Jacksonville and have a debate with all the citizens of Duval County and Greater Jacksonville. Charlie Crist did accept the invitation. Unfortunately, Governor Scott refused. We issued a press release, and at that conversation took place about 2.5 months. I hand-delivered the invitations to Governor Scott.
Yeah, I've seen you with pictures with him as well.
Yes. Yes. So, again, and he refused. So we were forced to just going to have a forum by only Charlie Crist. We are working on his campaign to set a date, and we should be having that in the next couple of weeks.
Well, keep us informed. And so what else are you guys doing to help with the state and the local races? We have about 5 minutes left, and I want to get that in because I know you're working diligently with a lot of races in your area as well as statewide.
Yes, we are working in local races as well as in a statewide. So right now the governor race obviously is the main one coming up on the November 4th. So we are working on calling Asian Americans to create a block vote for Charlie Crist. We are collecting donations to reflect a National Asian American PAC to go to his campaign. We are disseminating volunteers in ground, in other words, boots in ground, to make a cold call, to door hanger and door knocking and so forth.
But Radwan, I have a question for you. Why is it so many of the immigrants, and you know them as well as I do, that, we immigrate to America for a reason. We come here and we become part of the fabric of this society. Why are there so many Indians? And I meet a lot of them, especially women. They don't get involved. They don't even register to vote. What are we doing wrong that people are not getting up on and saying, listen, I've got to be part of this process?
It's a part of the education. Like I said, the people who came from the Asian continent, the political voices is not great. You can't have any political voice, for example, in Bangladesh, in Pakistan, in Burma.
The Middle East.
Yes, in Middle East. If you talk about, anything against your government, and rightfully so, you'll be found dead in a ditch next morning.
Yes.
So people are afraid of talking about politics, but
we have so many issues affecting women, like, my book, 18 Brothers and Sisters, I talk about domestic violence. We've got women who want equality in the workplace. You want people who want fair wages. You have people who also want to be paid, raise the minimum wage. And it does, in fact, not just, the other races, but Asian Americans as well. And so I implore them, if they're listening to AM 1300 WMEL and 1300WMEL.com, I respect you and I admire you. I've met you. You're a young man, went to college here. And I remembered when this was a dream of yours to try to get a lot of the Asian Americans together and form this voting bloc so that you could have more political clout and power. And I'm really, really proud of you. So whatever you can do to tell us, is there a website people can go on, or maybe a phone number they can call to get involved with your organization? Because I know you have two of them, and I'm ashamed of myself.
And a Twitter and a blog as well.
And do I say UDiON, or do you have a way of saying it? UDiON.
UDionFoundation.org.
So UDionFoundation.org.
Yes. The other one is NAAPACFL.org.
Well, I'm delighted that you took the time to call in, and I would spread the word on this because oftentimes I've met people that says, well, we don't have a group that we could join. So before we close, we have a minute or so. Is there anything else you want to tell me about UDiON or NAAPACFL that we didn't cover?
No, I think we cover everything. I do urge every single Asian Americans to come and join hands.
But before you leave, Radwan, before you leave, why should a candidate who is listening, because I know we have a lot of people that listen to AM 1300 WMEL to our show, why should they care about what your organization thinks? We have 2 minutes for you to answer that real quick.
Two things. In 2008, 612 votes made a difference in the presidential candidate. In the Jacksonville mayor's office was 1,673 votes. We have 38,950 Asian American in Jacksonville. The governor race was less than 5,000. And there is a 600+ thousand Asian American in the state of Florida. And if we create a powerful block vote, which we are working on, and we will accomplish that, every single candidate and the Asian American at large will become a kingmaker. We can swing any election, whether it's a local, state, or federal level, and we can be we can say that we are the kingmaker, the Asian American at whole. In the state of Florida, without winning the state of Florida, no candidate can claim the White House.
Right, and we know that when Asian Americans put their mind to something, whether it's owning one gas station or 280, or whether it's sending a baby right to medical school, we can do it.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think I implore people who are listening to go ahead and learn about UDiON Foundation and your political wing as well, and get involved. NAAPACFL. What does it stand for, NAAPACFL? National
Asian American PAC Political Action Committee, Florida.
You just had to pick such a long name, right?
Yes.
Well, I think Ellen is going to say a quick goodbye to you, and thank you for calling in as well.
It was a pleasure having you on the show with us today, and I want to make sure that all of our listeners know that they can follow you on Twitter, which is at Radwan Chowdhury. Yeah. And then also your blog, because I'm sure you got a lot of great info on that, and it's spelled RadwanChowdhury.info. So we're so glad to have had you on the show. We'll make sure that we put that on our Facebook page. And for our guests that are in studio today, Aaron Collins, the director and maestro of Space Coast Symphony Orchestra, and of course our friend Michelle Campanelli. Another great session of Viewpoint with Seeta and Friends, and we will see you next week, listeners and friends.